When you can truly focus, you not only perform better, but you also feel more in control, more capable and more aligned with your goals. But in a world that's constantly pulling your attention away, how do you actually develop this level of focus? How do you train your mind to be more disciplined in a time when distractions are everywhere? The truth is, focus is a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger it becomes. It's about creating habits, developing a mindset, and putting strategies in place that help you stay present and on task. And just like any muscle, it takes time and practice, but once you start building that muscle, it becomes second nature. One of the first things to understand is that focus isn't something that magically happens when you need it. It's something that you actively create. When you wake up in the morning and dive straight into your day, you are essentially setting the tone for how focused you are going to be. If you start your day distracted, checking your phone, responding to messages or jumping between tasks, you've already let your attention scatter before you've even begun. It's like trying to run a race with your shoelaces untied. You can go fast, but you won't go far, and it'll be hard to maintain any real momentum. Instead, it's important to create a routine that supports your focus right from the beginning. Start your day with intention and give yourself a moment of clarity before you dive into the noise, whether it's taking a few minutes to meditate, practicing some deep breathing, or simply writing down your goals for the day. These moments of mindfulness set the stage for better focus. They clear the mental clutter and allow you to direct your attention where it matters. This isn't just about starting the day off right either. Creating intentional pauses throughout the day can help you regain your focus and keep your energy from draining. Another key component to mastering focus is eliminating distractions as much as possible. This is easier said than done, but it's necessary. Your phone, email, social media, even the environment you work in, these things are all potential distractions that can pull you away from the task at hand. The more you expose yourself to these distractions, the more you train your brain to shift its attention every few minutes. But here's the truth. In order to truly focus, you need to be able to control your environment. Start by turning off notifications on your phone. If possible, silence everything that doesn't require your immediate attention. Let the people around you know that you need time to focus, and set boundaries that protect that time. Sometimes distractions are internal. Your mind races with thoughts about what's next or worries about things you can't control. This kind of mental clutter can be just as disruptive as any external distraction. The trick here is to acknowledge those thoughts without letting them take over. When you find your mind wandering, gently bring it back to the task at hand. Don't beat yourself up for getting distracted. This happens to everyone. Instead, practice redirecting your attention with time. You'll get better at catching your thoughts before they pull you away. For good focus also requires you to take care of your body and mind. You can't expect to be mentally sharp and present if your physical health is neglected. When you are tired, hungry, or physically drained, your ability to focus diminishes significantly, so take care of yourself, get enough sleep, eat well, stay hydrated, and make time for physical activity. Exercise, even just a brisk walk, has been proven to enhance mental clarity and improve your focus. When your body is taken care of, your mind will follow. Equally important is the idea of working in intervals. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that if we work non-stop for hours, we are being productive, but the truth is our minds can only stay locked in for so long. The longer you push yourself without breaks, the harder it becomes to maintain focus. That's why the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes followed by a 5-minute break, can be so effective. This gives your brain the chance to recharge before diving back into another session. You'll find that with these intervals, Your focus becomes sharper and your productivity skyrockets. Another piece of the puzzle is learning to prioritize. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer number of things you need to do, but not all tasks are created equal. Focus your attention on what matters most and learn to let go of the rest. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will have the biggest impact on my goals? By focusing on the most important task, you can give it the full attention it deserves, and when you check it off, you'll feel that sense of accomplishment that propels you forward. It's also essential to build the habit of practicing focus regularly. Start small and gradually build your ability to stay concentrated. If you are working on a big project, break it down into smaller tasks and focus on completing one at a time. Commit to being present during those small moments, whether it's reading a book, having a conversation, or working on a project. Don't allow your mind to wander to other things. Just focus on the task at hand and be patient with yourself as you train this skill. At the end of the day, focus isn't about forcing yourself to work harder. It's about working smarter, staying disciplined and creating an environment that supports the deepest level of concentration. The more intentional you are with your focus, the more control you'll have over your time and your energy, and the more you practice, the better you'll become at managing distractions and staying locked in on your goals. When you can focus, you'll unlock the power to move mountains, achieve anything you set your mind to, and make every day count. Your ability to focus is what will carry you through when things get tough. When distractions seem endless, when your energy is drained, and when the temptation to give up is strong, it's focus that will keep you grounded. It's focus that helps you keep going even when the road ahead seems unclear. The more you master your focus, the more you'll realize that you have the power to control your mind, and when you control your mind, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Chapter 6: Discipline. Building the structure for your success. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think of it as a strict set of rules or a rigid system designed to control their every move. They picture someone constantly forcing themselves to do things they don't want to do, pushing through every moment of discomfort and adhering to a set of rules that leaves no room for flexibility. The truth is, discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about creating a structure that sets you up for success. It's about building a foundation of habits and routines that push you toward your goals, not through sheer force, but by providing a steady framework that keeps you on track. When most people think about discipline, they focus on the external actions, what you do when you do it and how you do it, but real discipline starts on the inside. It begins with a mindset shift, a change in how you see yourself and your potential. It's not about forcing yourself to work harder. It's about making decisions that align with your long-term goals even when you don't feel like it, and this is the key. You can't wait for motivation to show up. Discipline is what gets you moving when motivation fades. It's the engine that powers your progress even when the excitement is gone. So how do you build that kind of discipline in your life? It starts with understanding the power of habits. We all have habits, good ones, and bad ones. Some habits serve us while others hold us back. The key is to focus on the habits that lead to long-term success. Habits are the small actions you take each day that compound over time, turning into the outcomes you want. Whether you realize it or not, you are building habits all the time, even if you are not being intentional about it. If you want to build discipline, you have to build habits that support your vision of success. The first step in doing that is understanding that every action you take is either moving you closer to or further from your goals. Think about the small choices you make every day, the decision to wake up early, the choice to exercise, the commitment to eat healthy, or the determination to work on your craft. Each of these actions may seem insignificant on its own, but over time they add up. On the other hand, the decision to hit snooze, eat junk food or procrastinate is just as powerful in the opposite direction. It's not about the occasional big choice, but the small everyday choices that shape your destiny. One of the best ways to start building discipline is to make those small choices easier. If you want to wake up early, start by setting your alarm across the room so you have to physically get out bed to turn it off. If you want to eat healthier, make sure the unhealthy food isn't readily available and have healthy options prepared. The easier you make it for yourself to stick to your goals, the more likely you are to do it, but it's not enough to just create an environment that supports your goals. You also need to hold yourself accountable. Accountability is a key part of discipline. When you hold yourself accountable for your actions, you create a sense of responsibility. You become someone who keeps promises even when it's difficult. You set standards for yourself and stick to them. This doesn't mean beating yourself up when you slip up, but it does mean getting back on track without delay. Real discipline means taking ownership of your actions and decisions. It's about creating the standard for yourself and maintaining it regardless of how you feel in the moment, but let's be real. There are going to be days when you don't feel like doing the things you know should. You'll feel tired, distracted, or just plain unmotivated. This is where your mental toughness comes into play. You need to learn to push through those moments of resistance, and that doesn't mean ignoring how you feel. It means recognizing that your feelings are not always in line with your best interests. Just because you don't feel like working doesn't mean you shouldn't work. Discipline means showing up even when you don't want to. One of the most effective ways to build discipline is to create routines that you can stick to. Routines are the backbone of discipline because they automate your decision-making. You don't have to think about whether you are going to work out or whether you are going to read or whether you are going to work on your business. You just do it because it's part of your routine. The more you can automate the important things in your life, the less energy you waste on decisions and the more consistent you become. The best part. Routines provide structure, but they also give you freedom. When you know what you are going to do and when you are going to do it, you can focus on the things that really matter. However, it's important to understand that routines aren't about perfection. They're about consistency. Life will throw curveballs your way and you'll miss a workout or skip a task. That's okay. What matters is getting back on track and not letting one mistake snowball into a pattern of failure. Discipline doesn't mean you'll never slip up. It means you keep moving forward no matter what. The key to discipline is also understanding your why. Do you want to develop discipline in the first place? Is it to get in shape, to build a business, to improve your relationships? Whatever your reason is, hold on to it tightly. It's easy to lose sight of why you are doing something when you are in the grind, but when you remind yourself of the bigger picture, it gives you the strength to keep going. It's that internal drive that will keep you disciplined even when you'd rather quit, but discipline isn't just about doing things you don't want to do. It's also about doing the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. A disciplined life doesn't mean being miserable. It means structuring your life in a way that makes you feel accomplished and aligned with your values. It's about doing the hard things now so that you can enjoy the rewards later, and sometimes the rewards are immediate. The satisfaction of checking off a task, the pride of sticking to your workout routine, the joy of seeing your business grow. Discipline is also about learning to say no in a world where distractions are everywhere. Saying no to things that don't serve your goals is a superpower. You have to protect your time and energy. Saying yes to everything and everyone spreads you thin and leaves you with nothing to give to the things that really matter. It's hard to say no, especially when you want to help others or be seen as agreeable, but your time is your most precious resource. You have to guard it fiercely as you start to build discipline in your life. Remember that it's a journey. You won't wake up one day with perfect discipline. It's something you develop over time and it takes work, but the more you practice it, the easier it gets, and the more you build that discipline, the more you'll realize that it's not about doing things you don't want to do. It's about building a life that aligns with your deepest values and goals, and that's a life worth building. Chapter 7, Resilience. Rising strong after every setback. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back when life knocks you down. It's about the mental strength to keep going when you don't feel like it, to rise again, even when you've been brought to your knees, and to do so with the confidence that no matter how many setbacks you face, you are still moving forward. Life will challenge you. It'll test your limits. There will be times when you feel like you can't handle another thing, when it seems like the weight of the world is too much to bear, but resilience is built in those very moments when everything seems impossible. You see, life is unpredictable. You can have everything planned, everything lined up perfectly, and in an instant it can all fall apart. That's the nature of life. It doesn't follow a script. It doesn't give you a manual to get through the tough times, but what life does offer, what it hands you, is the opportunity to decide how you are going to respond. When things get difficult, will you give up? Will you let the setbacks define you? Or will you find a way to rise no matter how hard it gets? The beauty of resilience is that it's not an innate trait. It's a skill. It's something that you can develop over time, through practice, through the way you respond to adversity. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, fear, or failure. It's about learning how to handle them. It's about understanding that setbacks are not signs of weakness, but opportunities for growth. The stronger you get in your mind, the more prepared you are to handle whatever life throws at you. Building resilience begins with a shift in mindset. It's about changing the way you think about challenges. Instead of seeing a setback as a roadblock, view it as a stepping stone. Instead of letting failure make you feel defeated, see it as a lesson. The key to resilience is not being afraid to fail, not allowing fear to control your actions. You will fail, you will make mistakes, but it's how you rise from them that matters. The first step in becoming more resilient is accepting that pain, difficulty, and failure are part of the process. There is no success without struggle. Every person who has achieved anything worth achieving has gone through their own personal battles, and these battles, while painful at the time, are what shape you. They teach you more about yourself than any success ever could. They teach you what you are truly made of, and it's through these experiences that you learn how to handle life's inevitable ups and downs. When you face a difficult situation, the first thing you should do is give yourself permission to feel, acknowledge the pain, the frustration, the disappointment. Don't try to numb your emotions or push them away. It's okay to feel hurt, but the next step is where resilience comes in. You have to choose to not stay in that emotional place. It's easy to wallow in self-pity, to let the pain control you, but the key is to feel what you are feeling and then choose to move forward. You can't let your emotions dictate your actions. Sometimes you won't feel like doing anything. Sometimes you won't feel like getting out of bed, showing up, or even trying, but resilience is about making the decision to do it anyway. Even if you are not feeling your best, even if you are not at your strongest, it's about making the choice to keep going. You don't need to feel motivated to be resilient. You just need to keep going. Resilience isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about pushing through the discomfort, the doubt, and the uncertainty. The power of resilience also lies in your ability to adapt. Life changes constantly, and the key to surviving and thriving in it is your ability to change with it. You may have a plan, but the plan might not go as expected. That's okay. What matters is how you adjust. Resilience is about staying flexible, about learning to adapt to whatever life throws at you. It's about knowing that while you can't control everything, you can control how you respond to what's happening. Take a step back when you are facing a difficult moment and evaluate your options. You might not be able to change the situation, but you can always control your perspective. You can choose to focus on what's within your control and let go of what's beyond your reach. This is where true power lies. It's not about controlling every aspect of your life, but about controlling how you react to it. Resilience is about maintaining that mental clarity, even when everything feels like chaos. One of the greatest strengths of resilient people is their ability to stay focused on the long-term picture. When you are in the middle of a crisis, it's easy to get caught up in the details and lose sight of the bigger vision, but resilient people know how to zoom out and see beyond the immediate storm. They remind themselves that the difficulties they're facing are temporary and that their long-term goals are still within reach. They don't allow short-term struggles to derail their long-term success. Resilience also thrives in a supportive environment. While it's true that you are ultimately responsible for your own resilience, the people around you can either build you up or tear you down. It's important to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who believe in you, and who encourage you to keep going when you want to quit. We are social beings and we need that support system, especially during tough times, but it's also crucial to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. You can't always rely on others to pull you out of a tough spot. Resilience is about finding strength within yourself and relying on your own abilities when necessary. Another key to building resilience is self-compassion. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to fail. You are going to face challenges, and through all of this, it's important to be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up when things don't go as planned. Don't let your mistakes define you. Instead, see them as opportunities to learn and grow. Be patient with yourself. Building resilience takes time and you are not going to do it perfectly, but as long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep trying, you are already building resilience. Resilience isn't a trait you are born with. It's a muscle you develop through experience, through action, and through your ability to handle adversity. Every time you face a setback and choose to rise again, you strengthen that muscle, and the more you develop your resilience, the more you'll realize that nothing can stop you. Life will continue to throw challenges your way, but each one will make you stronger, more capable, and more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes next. So embrace the hard times, embrace the setbacks, because they're not just obstacles, they're your opportunities to become the person you were always meant to be. Chapter 8, Overcoming Fear, Transforming Anxiety into Action. Fear is something we all experience at different points in our lives. It's not some external force we can avoid, it's a natural part of the human experience. The thing is, fear can either paralyze us or propel us forward. It all comes down to how we handle it. Fear has the power to stop us from pursuing our dreams, from taking risks, and from becoming the people we are meant to be. But here's the truth. Fear isn't something we need to be afraid of. Fear can actually be one of our greatest allies if we learn how to control it and transform it into something positive. I'm not talking about the kind of fear that warns us of real danger, like stepping into traffic or standing too close to a cliff's edge. That kind of fear keeps us alive. What I'm talking about is the fear that holds us back, the fear of failure, of judgment, of making mistakes, or of stepping into the unknown. This type of fear is entirely based on stories we tell ourselves about what could go wrong, and it's often rooted in our past experiences or the opinions of others. This kind of fear is the barrier between us and our potential, but the good news is it's entirely within our power to overcome it. When we feel fear, the natural instinct is often to run away from it. We avoid situations that make us uncomfortable or uncertain. We shrink back thinking that by avoiding fear, we're protecting ourselves, but in reality we are just limiting ourselves. The truth is, every time we run from fear, we are reinforcing the idea that fear has power over us. We are allowing it to control us, and that's a dangerous place to be. Fear thrives when we try to avoid it, and it only grows stronger when we let it control our actions. The key to overcoming fear is not to run from it, but to face it head on. When you start to feel fear rising up inside you, don't push it down or try to ignore it. Acknowledge it, name it. Take a moment to say to yourself, "Okay, I'm scared right now." There's no shame in that. Everyone feels fear. It's part of being human, but instead of letting that fear paralyze you, take a deep breath and choose to move forward anyway. This is where the power lies, when you acknowledge the fear and then take action in spite of it. What happens when you do this is remarkable. Fear begins to lose its grip on you. The more you take action despite fear, the more you prove to yourself that you are in control, not the fear. Every small step forward, no matter how small, weakens the power fear holds over you. You start to see that the fear is just a feeling. It's not a fact, and feelings don't have to control your actions unless you allow them to. In fact, fear can even become a motivator. It's not about getting rid of fear completely. It's about shifting your perspective on it. When fear arises, instead of seeing it as something to avoid, see it as a signal that you are on the verge of growth. Fear shows up when we are about to step outside our comfort zones, and stepping outside our comfort zones is where that happens. It's where progress is made. It's where we discover who we really are and what we are capable of. Fear means you are pushing boundaries, and that's exactly where you want to be. When you are facing fear, one of the most powerful things you can do is break down the situation into smaller, more manageable steps. Often we fear things because they seem too big, too overwhelming, or too unknown, but when you break them down into smaller actions, fear loses its power. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to figure everything out in one go. Just focus on taking the next small step. Each step brings you closer to your goal, and with each step you grow stronger and more confident. One of the most profound lessons I've learned in life is that fear is a product of our imagination. Our minds are incredible storytellers, and often the scenarios we imagine in our heads are far worse than what actually happens. When we take the time to examine our fears, we usually realize that the things we're afraid of are either unlikely to happen or not as bad as we think they are. By facing our fears and putting them into perspective, we can see them for what they truly are: illusions. This doesn't mean that fear is always irrational. Some fears are rooted in real concerns, and that's okay, but even in those cases, fear doesn't have to hold us back. It's about assessing the situation objectively, taking steps to minimize the risks, and then moving forward with a clear mind. Fear is only as powerful as we allow it to be, and the more we face it with courage, the less control it has over us. When you begin to take control of your fear, you start to unlock a new level of freedom. You become less reactive to life's challenges. Instead of allowing fear to dictate your actions, you can choose to act despite the fear. You begin to live life on your terms, not based on what your fears are telling you. This is true freedom, the ability to take action no matter how uncertain or uncomfortable it may feel, and trust that you can handle whatever comes next. Fear in many ways is a reminder that you are alive. It's a sign that you are pushing yourself, that you are in the process of becoming more than were before. So instead of letting fear stop you, let it fuel you. Every time you push through fear, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever thought possible. Every time you face fear, head on, you step closer to becoming the person you are meant to be. And as you keep going, that fear you once feared will lose its power over you, leaving you stronger, braver, and more confident in yourself and your ability to handle whatever comes your way. So the next time fear creeps in, don't run, don't hide. Stand tall, acknowledge it and take action. Fear is just a feeling. You don't have to let it control you. And once you take that first step, you'll realize that the fear wasn't nearly as strong as you thought it was. Keep going, keep moving forward because the only way through fear is to go through it. Chapter 9, Decision Making. The Power of Choosing Wisely. Every day we are faced with decisions. Some are small, like choosing what to eat for lunch, while others are life-altering, like deciding on a career path or choosing to leave a relationship that isn't serving us. The power of decision-making is something we often overlook, but it's one of the most powerful forces we have in shaping our lives. We often think of decisions as being external, but every choice we make reflects who we are inside and where we want to go. It's not just about what's happening around us, it's about how we respond to what's in front of us. And the beauty of it is we have the ability to choose at any moment. When we wake up each morning, we have the opportunity to decide what kind of day we'll have. Will we face the challenges ahead with confidence, or will we let fear and hesitation control our actions? Every decision, no matter how small, leads us in a particular direction, and these little decisions over time add up to shape the path of our lives. Think about it. Where you are right now in this moment is a result of the choices you've made up to this point. The power of decision-making is that it allows you to create your future one choice at a time. But here's the thing, so many people are indecisive. They hesitate, second-guess themselves, and often fail to take action because they're afraid of making the wrong choice. But here's the truth, you can't avoid making decisions. Not making a decision is still making a decision, and the longer you wait, the more you allow life to dictate your path instead of choosing it for yourself. It's easy to get stuck in a cycle of overthinking, wondering if you are making the right choice, but the longer you stay in that space of uncertainty, the more paralyzed you become. The key to breaking out of that cycle is understanding that no decision is perfect. The best decision is the one you make now and the one you commit to, not the one you keep questioning or procrastinating over. It's natural to be afraid of making the wrong choice, but in reality there is no such thing as a perfect decision. Every choice we make comes with risks and uncertainties, but that's where growth happens. It's easy to think that if we make the wrong choice, we'll somehow ruin everything, but the truth is there are very few decisions in life that are irreversible. Even if you make a mistake, it's never the end of the world. In fact, mistakes are a necessary part of life. They're how we learn, grow, and build resilience. The important thing is that we make a decision, learn from it, and keep moving forward. The most successful people in life are the ones who make decisions quickly and adjust if needed. They don't get bogged down by analysis paralysis. They don't waste time trying to perfect their choices. They make a decision, trust in themselves, and commit to making it work. There's power in that kind of decisiveness. It eliminates doubt and opens up space for action. When you make a decision, you create momentum, you start to move forward, and even if you encounter setbacks or obstacles, you are already in motion, making adjustments as you go. The key is to keep moving forward even when the path isn't perfectly clear. One of the most important aspects of decision-making is learning to trust yourself. We've all been there, questioning whether we are making the right choice, but the truth is we know ourselves better than anyone else. Deep down, you know what feels right for you, and you have to trust that inner knowing. Often we second-guess ourselves because we're afraid of what others might think, or we fear the consequences of our actions. But when we rely on external opinions or focus too much on potential outcomes, we lose touch with our own inner guidance. The ability to make decisions with confidence comes from learning to trust your intuition and believing that you have the ability to handle whatever comes your way. One way to strengthen that trust in yourself is to start by making smaller decisions. Don't wait for a huge life-changing moment to test your decision-making skills. Start with the little choices. What do you want to eat for dinner? What task do you want to tackle first today? What's something you can do for yourself that will move you in the direction of your goals? By practicing decision-making in these small moments, you'll begin to build confidence in your ability to choose, and over time, making bigger decisions will feel less daunting. Another thing to remember is that decisions don't have to be perfect. In fact, they rarely are. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we try to plan, things will change. The key is to make decisions based on the information you have right now and then adjust if needed. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is, and sometimes progress means making decisions, moving forward and learning as you go. Life isn't about waiting for the perfect moment, it's about creating the moments and opportunities by making choices. Something that can also help in the decision-making process is to have a clear sense of your values and your goals. When you know what truly matters to you and what you want to achieve in life, decisions become clearer. You can ask yourself, does this decision align with my values and my long-term goals? If it does, move forward. If it doesn't, don't be afraid to walk away. Having that sense of clarity helps you make choices that are in line with who you truly are, rather than just reacting to external circumstances or seeking approval from others. A powerful exercise to practice is visualizing the outcomes of different choices. Imagine the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and everything in between. What would your life look like if you made this decision? What might it look like if you made a different choice? This exercise can help you get out of your head and into your body, allowing you to feel what each decision would mean for you on a deeper level. Sometimes making a decision becomes easier when you stop thinking about it so much and start feeling your way through it. And lastly, remember that every decision is a chance to learn and grow. There are no wrong choices, only opportunities to learn. Every experience teaches us something valuable about ourselves, about the world, and about what we want out of life. The key is to stay open to learning and adjusting as you go. So the next time you find yourself faced with a decision, take a deep breath, trust yourself and commit to moving forward. Don't let fear of making the wrong choice hold you back. The power is in your hands to create the life you want, one decision at a time. Chapter 10, The Power of Habits. How small actions lead to big results. Every day we are faced with countless small actions. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they add up to create real change in our lives. The small things we do, what we eat, how we move, how we think ultimately shape who we are and where we are going. And one of the most powerful ways to transform our lives is to master the power of habits. Habits are the invisible forces that run the show. They're the foundation of everything we do, whether we realize it or not. The majority of our daily actions are dictated by the habits we formed over time. We get up, brush our teeth, drink our coffee, check our phones and go through the motions, often without thinking twice, but those actions repeated consistently become the story of our lives. They shape the way we feel, the way we think and the results we get. If you want to change your life, you need to change your habits, and that starts with understanding how habits work. At their core, habits are simply patterns of behavior that we repeat over and over again. Some habits are productive and positive, like exercising regularly or eating healthy meals. Others are unproductive, like procrastinating or letting negative self-talk take over. The key is not necessarily to eliminate the bad habits overnight, but to replace them with better ones. You don't have to be perfect, you just need to focus on progress. One of the most important things to recognize is that habits are built on a cue routine reward cycle. It starts with a cue, something that triggers the habit. For example, maybe the cue is waking up in the morning. That leads to a routine like making your bed or having a cup of coffee, and then there's a reward. The satisfaction of a tidy room or the rush of caffeine. Over time, this cycle becomes ingrained in our brains, making it easier to repeat the behavior without thinking much about it. To create a positive habit, you need to first identify the cue that triggers it. You want to make it as obvious as possible. For instance, if you want to start exercising in the morning, place your workout clothes right by your bed so you see them the moment you wake up. You want the cue to be something that reminds you to take action. Next, you need to focus on the routine itself. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything at once. If you are starting a new habit, make it easy to begin. Don't tell yourself you are going to work out for an hour. If you are just getting started, tell yourself that you'll do 10 minutes. 10 minutes is easy. It's something you can commit to, and once you start, you'll often find yourself doing more. But even if you stop at 10 minutes, you've made progress, you've created a habit that's now a part of your routine. Finally, the reward. This is where you need to celebrate the small victories. After you've worked out, give yourself some kind of reward. Maybe it's a healthy breakfast. Maybe it's a moment to sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee. The reward reinforces the behavior, making it more likely that you'll repeat it the next time. Over time, as the routine and reward become ingrained, you'll find yourself looking forward to it. The challenge with habits, though, is that they can take time to form. This is where most people get frustrated and give up too soon, but the key to building lasting habits is consistency. It's the small consistent actions that will lead to big results. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be persistent, and you have to be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen if you keep showing up. Another important factor to consider when building new habits is the environment you create. Your surroundings play a huge role in whether or not you are successful at building a new habit. If you want to make exercise a regular part of your life, for example, make sure your workout equipment is easily accessible. If you want to read more, keep a book with you at all times so that when you have a spare moment, you can pick it up. The more you can set yourself up for success by making your desired habits as easy as possible, the more likely you'll stick with them. It's also important to recognize that habits are not just about the action itself, they're about the identity you create. When you start a new habit, you are not just changing your behavior, you are changing who you are. Instead of focusing on the outcome like I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to run a marathon, focus on who you want to become. You want to be someone who makes healthy choices every day. You want to be someone who values taking care of your body. You want to be someone who is disciplined enough to follow through on your commitments. This shift in identity is what makes habits stick. When your habits align with your sense of self, it's much easier to stay consistent. For example, if you see yourself as a runner, then running becomes a part of who you are rather than something you have to force yourself to do. The more you build habits that align with the person you want to become, the easier it will be to continue taking action even on days when you don't feel like it. The beauty of habits is that they compound over time. The small positive actions you take today will lead to bigger changes down the road. You may not see immediate results, but as you keep putting in the work, you'll begin to notice the difference. Your energy levels will improve. You'll feel more confident, you'll become stronger both physically and mentally. And here's the secret. Consistency is more important than intensity. You don't have to go all in every single day. In fact, trying to do too much too soon can actually backfire. Instead, focus on showing up every day, even if it's just for a short period of time. You'll be amazed at how over time these small efforts add up to something much bigger. At the same time, don't be too hard on yourself when you slip up, we all do. The key is to not let one bad day derail your progress. If you miss a workout or eat something unhealthy, don't throw in the towel and say, "Well, I blew it." Just get back on track the next day. One mistake doesn't define you. It's the consistency over time that matters. When you look at habits in this way, you realize that you have the power to completely transform your life. The choices you make today, however small they may seem, are laying the foundation for your future. You don't have to wait for a major life event to make a change. You can start right now by taking small deliberate actions that add up over time. And the best part, you don't have to do it alone. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction, and if you keep moving forward even when it's hard, you'll get there. Habits are the secret to lasting change.